Why I will never support Gill. So it really all started in December of 2020. The pandemic had been normalized, and my wife at the time and I were hanging on by our fingernails to be good parents while cohabitating. Now, I knew that we were good people, but we're terrible to each other. We are great parents, but suck as role models when living together. So to solve that, I bought a house and moved out. Day one of moving out, my world changed. Not for the obvious, but because the condo I bought was in a poor neighborhood, and I apparently moved above a tweaker, or what seemed to be. I have no proof that he did meth, but he certainly acted erratic like one. He loved to play his music so loud it would shake my floor up to 80 decibels every single day. The West Valley City Police Department would show up, and that first month they probably showed up a dozen times. The very first time I approached a tweaker to ask him to turn down his music, he assaulted me by physically pushing me and telling me to fuck off because he can do whatever he wants. I had no recourse but to either fight him or call the cops. The HOA was unwilling to do anything because they have no power here in Utah. So fighting a tweaker is never really a good idea. So the cops show up, officers Fewer and Clough. They even came into my house, their eyes bugged out of their heads, and they said, "Oh my God, this is not okay." That said, I could tell when they knocked on his door because what sounded like a roar from a werewolf. And this guy freaked out. This guy, Craig Pearson, fuck you! I'm not turning down my music. This is all public record. Right, the cops were there a couple of times that night because he refused to turn it down and actually would turn it up after the cops left to be even louder than when they said it was unacceptable. Now, this all started on January 8th, 2021. By January 30th, the police had shown up again dozens of times. I could barely sleep. I'm a combat veteran, so I'm sure you can understand just how vulgar it is for my floor to be shaking that violently. Not to mention that I've been to multiple war zones. Hell, I deployed 8 days after September 11th, 2001 to my first war zone. I was recognized by the highest general in the land, Eric Shinseki at the time, for going above and beyond in the Call of Duty. I'm a pretty decent dude. So this guy not just physically assaulted me, just by asking the fucker to turn down his music. I mean, he's just so cruel by torturing me. Now, I mean, little did I know that freedom doesn't mean responsibility. It means freedom to be a dickhead to whomever and whenever. I guess I never saw that part of the brochure when I signed on the dotted line to join the military. Now, that same day, January 30th, 2021, I went down and confronted him again because I couldn't take it. I don't know, temporary insanity. I snapped. I couldn't even watch a movie with my son because his music was beating so loud from the bass. Side note, anyone who has a subwoofer in a stacked apartment building is an asshole. He has no right to be part of that community. They give no shits about anyone else. Anyway, so confronting him literally means I went and knocked on his door. That was it. Police told me to stay away from his door. So I confronted him to ask him, hey, you know what? I'm thinking I've been to war zones. I'm a former combat medic. I bet I've dealt with assholes before. Let me see if there's a way to reason. Anyway, he opens the door with a gun pointed at my head. I thought I was going to die. Instead of dying, I got punched in the face. I guess he thought he could take me. Bad move on his part. I got him in a headlock with no idea where the gun was and fighting for my life and the fact that I didn't want my son to lose his father, especially since he was just upstairs. So police filed charges against him, but then dropped them from Sim Gill's office. Sim Gill is someone who I acted a little inappropriate to and yelled in his face about Patrick Harmon and how gross his decision was on the case. I didn't touch him while I was doing that. In fact, when I was done talking to him, I shook his hand and thanked him. Well, anyway, charges were dropped against this Craig Pearson and put on me. Why? Police effectively had me as a vigilante because even though they were unwilling to do anything to get him to stop because of their sheer incompetence, since they told me not to confront him, and I did, apparently I was in the wrong. Not him for the music, Not his mom, Colette Pearson, a realtor here in Utah who owns the property. And the police told me that when they initially called her, she said, "Not my problem. Not my problem." Another shining example of wonderful, taking freedom for granted. So now on top of that, Sim Gill's office is either incompetent or out to get me because in his apartment they found a gun cleaning kit, a gun safe, but no gun. Huh. Interesting. So there's duck shit, there's duck feathers, but no duck. Huh. So they ruled there was no gun. Are you kidding me? So never mind that there was 20 minutes to get rid of the gun before the police showed up, as well as his friend was there to break up the fight before one of us died. The friend could have easily helped him get rid of the weapon. So probably the worst part of it is again that Colette Pearson, his mom. I tried to do. I reached out to everyone. I gave her a call. She didn't bother to call me back. I left a voicemail. I didn't even know that I had no way of knowing that she even got it until he mentioned in court that I left a voicemail for his mom, and she refused to do anything about it because it's not her problem. How crazy is that? Is this the America we want to live in? Because if it is, vote Sim Gill. If it's not, maybe it's time to flush the turd.